Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Borko Hanjiski, and I have a great honor to chair and host the final event of today's session. We are here to talk about the governance of the latest emerging technology, generative AI. And we shouldn't be underestimating the fact that you have all gathered today to do so. If we look at historically over the past 4 decades of digital revolutions, we observe a gap between innovation, adoption, and governance. Mid-90s, the internet had already taken off, at least in the developed world, yet it took a decade, 2004, for the Budapest Convention on Cybersecurity to be adopted, the first international treaty regulating this. Later on, by end of the 2000s, big tech was collecting data on billions of people, personal data, but it took 10 years again, 2018, for the EU to introduce GDPR, a governance model that tackles data privacy. But today, we are gathered to discuss governance as generative AI is going towards mainstream adoption in both consumer and business use. So we have an opportunity to shape a governance model that's going to anticipate the challenges, that's going to mitigate the risks, and harness the full power of these new innovations. And to do so, we have 4 exceptional speakers today that are going to share their views on what that effective governance model should look like. So with no further ado, if you will allow me, I'll start with our first guest, Dr. Abrar. Dr. Abrar, as governments and strategic sectors adopt offline AI solutions for autonomy and security reasons, how can integrity and auditability of these systems be ensured, especially given the fact that you will not have the traditional mechanisms used in cloud solutions?
All right, can you hear me? Assalamu alaikum. So his question is how we can make sure the integrity of AI solutions that are operating offline. Okay, that's a really nice question. So the first thing we need to look at the offline deployments. We have 3 problems, right? Connectivity, sovereignty, security, right? And if you want to address the governance over AI solutions, everybody speaks about governance. I think it's already well-established, event. Thank you very much, by the way, for hosting such summits. Really effective and insightful. So look at it from 3 aspects to address these. So from AI expertise, as coming from an AI company hosting and a presence in oil and gas, defense, and these areas are really hungry for offline solutions that are governed. You have to look at the 3 aspects. The first one is on-device embedded, right? Explainable AI. Does the AI have the ability to be explainable? If there is any kind of decision made by the AI, have the ability to actually keep logging and understanding post-operation analysis what's going on, right? This is the first thing. Second thing is if you look at the other aspect of how to audit without the need for the cloud infrastructure monitoring tools. We understand there's no connectivity and we have to actually have more of zero trust AI infrastructure. In a nutshell, all of the models are not trusted, right? This is by default. To trust them, they have to actually be verified, validated on their decisions. So basically traceability. Here is the blockchain idea, how it can be integrated with the AI solutions. And then the last thing is, which we are actually talking a lot in this aspect, is the capital, human capital. If they are really trained well to make sure that the sustainability aspect and the sovereignty aspect of the hosted AI solution they have in hand, they will be trained how to actually contain the matters of how they use the AI there and their, on their premises or whatever so these are the aspects how we can cover zero trust AI infrastructure and the aspect of embedded explainable AI.
Thank you very much, Dr. Abrar. Now I'll move to the second speaker, Dr. Ibrahim, on a similar topic. Your expertise is in cybercrime. So what is your view on the ability of current AI solutions to deal with cybercrime and to minimize the risk of cybercrime when AI is applied in use cases such as legal decision-making or public sector operations?
Thank you, Mr. Borko. about these questions, and thank you, and appreciate about the invitation me to this summit. Actually, before starting talking about how the AI adaptations that can help our cybersecurity, cyber crimes, even to detect all the militias and something like. Let me just only give actually as a brief about the digital forensics and that how we can investigate all the evidence and how we can extract it before going to the cyber crimes. In the beginning, like digital forensics, it's like one of techniques that can be used to extract all the evidence from the storage and from the social media or even from the networking. And that, even that, it's not easy for the both from actually the attackers or even for the investigators. Because that, even with that, we are using just only like a simple, like traditional tools, okay? And by using now, like AI, and most of the people, as you know, it's relying on the AI using. That means that a huge of the data sensitive, it's already uploaded to the clouds and the systems and so on. That means also most of the people that between that, let's say in the dangerous way, if we are like just only misuse the AI. So how also we can adopt our like AI and our cybercrime to be one of the most important to investigate it, and how can help for detected and analysis for the cybercrime by applications. Okay, so that means we need to understand the huge of the data set that it's already mentioned there in the systems, and that we need how to tracings and how we can also to follow it, to extract, and that it will not be easy. So from there, AI actually adaptations, it's one of the most important for the cybercrime to build our algorithms and how we can follow it, to trace it, everything's that tracking inside that networking and how we can investigate. That one, it will not be easy because there is a lot of the procedure, there are a lot of the actual strategies that we need to follow. So my opinion that to enhance all the law enforcement, okay, and the AI, and like we can also use it when we need to deploy any AI as a strong governance and ethical controls.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ibrahim. Over to Clem. AI71 has developed a breadth of AI-based solutions related to various types of government services. What is your view on the risks that AI poses, and what is your recommendation on an optimal governance model?
Very good. Welcome, everyone. Very nice being here. I think this is an excellent question, first of all. Of course, there are numerous risks when it comes to deploying AI solutions nowadays, and I'm sure most of you are familiar with the majority of them. I'd like to share maybe one big risk that is emerging more and more and more. It wasn't that big of a deal a few years back, but now it's becoming a bit of an issue. As we are building AI solutions, very recently we started moving into agents, AI agentic products and solutions. And what it essentially does, it automates processes, automates functions, automates workflows, and that creates a huge new risk, which is automation without accountability. And just to reemphasize, automation without accountability. There is a big risk that decision makers, when we introduce AI agents, suddenly basically move away the responsibility and accountability of any outcomes to this AI solution and AI agent. At the end of the day, it shouldn't be like this. At the end of the day, it's no difference to an individual doing that workflow. You still has to be accountable. But as we move into this agentic AI world more and more and more, I think automation without accountability is one of the biggest risks. So how do you address it? Well, still, judges still out there. We're all working to figure this out. But one of the ways that helps, at least in my experience, is transparency. Transparency at every single level. You have transparency on your data layer, you have transparency on your analytics layer, you have transparency on your applications layer, at your governance layer, at your performance tracking and monitoring layer. You really overemphasize ability for people, for the decision makers, to know exactly what AI agents do, to make sure that when we do automate things, it doesn't come at the cost of the risk.
Clear. Thank you very much. Last but not least, Dr. Jansu, is sufficient attention being given to the importance of ethics in the use of AI, in particular when AI is applied in sensitive areas like defense, security, public services, judiciary? What's your view? And also if you could start by defining for us AI ethics.
Okay, so AI ethics let's put a couple of concepts in place. So we have responsible AI, we have AI ethics, we have AI governance. So the way to think about it is responsible AI is sort of the umbrella term. As a part of, when we think about responsible AI, we think about legality, whether the AI is lawful to use. But we also think about the ethical concerns, which may not be yet have a regulatory structure in place. So what that means is when we look at the harm mitigation, whether or not it has a regulatory structure around it, this is where the ethics and responsible AI framework come into place. We want to make sure that we detect the harms, mitigate them. We want to make sure that whatever AI system we create actually does good for the society and for whatever the stakeholders of the company or the organization is. We want to make sure that we have the AI systems treat individuals, groups fairly, and there the definition of fairness comes into play. And again, this is not a legal definition because there is usually no such granular definition in the law. What we look at is the ethics, where we define what fair means, and then we look at the technical ways of implementing that fairness. And we want to still make sure that AI serves humanity, AI serves us, and not the other way around. We don't serve AI. And there, human agency, human autonomy, making sure that we understand how the AI works, and we make decisions accordingly with our own expertise, that also falls under the responsible AI. And for all of these to happen, you need to have a governance structure where you are keeping with accountability, keeping with transparency, keeping with audit structures. So that broader thing is responsible AI. So I would take it as like ethics is a part of it, legality is a part of it, governance is a part of it. And now your question, which I think is almost like a cynical question, do we do enough? Of course not. So one reason is this field, let's be honest, is still growing. So we have a lot of work in certain areas. For example, privacy has a lot of work done around it. Explainability is getting more and more deepened. There's a lot of great work in that area. Bias is similar, but there's a lot that we didn't put in place structures, and there is no playbook for it. So we have some standards. NIST is one of them, EU guidelines is one of them, but there needs to be more agreement around those standards and a way of saying, yes, you meet the threshold of what is required to say that we are doing responsible AI, we are taking care of this. So I guess that's the answer.
Thank you. And maybe a follow-up question. Everybody here in the audience is leading or working in an organization that is currently adopting or trying to adopt AI.
Yeah.
What are the one or two things that you would advise all of the audience to do when it comes to ethics in AI?
So I can give like the easy to remember thing, which is keep in mind there are three things that you need to address in your organization. It's people, process, and playbook. So you have to have the expertise in place. You cannot have a technical person taking care of ethics or ethics person taking care of law. You need all of these in place. So having the right people embedded in your organizations with the roles, defined roles, and responsibilities. So it comes back to not just AI, but humans also have to have clear responsibilities where they know that they are going to be accountable for. So that's your people part. The process is whenever you have an AI system, it doesn't matter whether you're developing it or you're procuring it, it has to go through a workflow. It enters into the workflow and it gets an ethics impact assessment, it gets a risk mitigation, it gets a check for the legal part. But all of these have to happen in a structured process and has to be documented. So that is your process. And finally, in order to keep this process in place, you need tools, you need guidelines. That's your playbook. So you need to have your company guidelines. Whoever is in your organization, the people, whoever is in your organization should know what to consult when they need to implement it. And that will also allow you to not create a bottleneck. So you don't want just one responsible AI officer or one review board. You want to make sure that you train people and put them in roles where there is a streamlined process and it doesn't become, the usual say, ethics is the bottleneck, ethics is what slows us down. It doesn't have to be. If we create the structure well, it will make it faster.
Thank you very much. Thank you to all speakers. Just to conclude that just the fact that this discussion is happening is a sign that the UAE is taking a swift response towards being a step ahead in defining the governance as these new emerging technologies are going into mainstream, and hope that all of you will come out of this discussion with some ideas on how to do this better. Thank you for your time.